Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I have recently beaten Final Fantasy 16 and I really enjoyed my time with this game, but man did I have some issues with it as well. I will say good things about it first, because there are certain aspects of Final Fantasy 16 that I loved. The world of Final Fantasy 16 is fascinating as the story reveals more and more about its lore. The different kingdoms at play have different settings and cultures. The narrative, in my opinion, is very strong. I enjoyed following the main protagonist Clive and his story. Clive is kind of your standard good guy protagonist with a little edge to him. I wish he had more interesting character traits other than the good guy trying to do good things. But Clive does have his moments where he shines as a character. I really enjoy his interactions with the rest of the cast. And don't get me started on his best buddy Sid. I love Sid and his relationship with Clive. It's so charming. Jill is also a member of Clive's crew, and I feel like they could have done a bit more with her character as well, but even so, I really enjoyed Jill as well. The voice acting as a whole is spectacular. Sure, you still get those anime grunts here and there, but honestly, this is probably my favorite Final Fantasy voice acting that I've ever seen. It just looks so natural, the way that it's animated, the way that the characters' faces look and animate. It all looks so great. The game as a whole is gorgeous, my goodness. The lighting, the particle effects are outstanding and add so much to the visual eye candy that is on display. FF16 just looks and feels polished. I didn't encounter any technical issues or anything of the sort. Maybe some frame dips here and there, but really minor stuff. As a package, it is well made. The boss fights are some of the most insane spectacles I have ever experienced in a game. These fights are as epic as they are long. If you thought that Final Fantasy 16 wasn't anime looking enough to you, then I encourage you to see some of these fights because wow, they are a treat. These huge battles have different gameplay sections throughout. Sometimes you'll be fighting as Clive as normal, and then other times you'll be fighting huge titans as Ifrit. I was surprised how much you actually got to control Ifrit at times, and the combat even evolves, which I did not expect. QuickTime events are littered throughout these battles, and normally I would be totally against this. But oddly enough, I didn't mind them here. You still got to participate and engage with these fights in other ways, so the QuickTime events didn't really bother me. Oh, and I can't forget about the music. It has some of my favorite battle or boss themes. Holy crap, it's just fantastic, just as you would expect. Okay, so that's all the positives I can think of right now, so let's get into what bugged me. The world of Final Fantasy 16 is so beautiful visually, but so boring to traverse and explore. You have cities that are pretty good size, but there isn't much to do in them other than little shops and to get side quests. I will say that the cities look pretty distinct from one another, but again, it's just not fun to explore. Outside of these cities are open areas that range from small to medium. I don't actually have a problem with the size of these areas. In fact, I was all for this open zone approach, as I thought it would lead to dense areas filled with fun rewards and secrets to discover. Cutting out all the fat and filler from other open worlds and just making a good zone. But unfortunately, that is not the case. These areas are really empty when it comes to content. Like sure, there are enemies and side quests you can take on, but the reward for those side quests are just not good. You don't really get much for completing normal side quests. There are specific ones that do give you decent rewards, but those are far and few between. To boil it down, I don't find the side quests all that interesting. Thankfully, there are quests like those that involve hunting a monster, which is pretty neat. Okay, now let's get into the combat. There will be people that will disagree with me, and that's okay, but I personally was disappointed with the combat. But first, I will say that the actual feel and feedback is great. Each attack feels properly weighted, and the impact of them are handled very well. However, I am not the biggest fan of the way they handled combos in Final Fantasy 16. I have seen people online string combos with their icon abilities, but man, I just can't string these in a satisfying combo. The icon abilities are really cool attacks, but when I play, I often use them all up and wait until an ability recharges from the cooldown and just repeat the process. I just wish that there was more done in your basic combos. You know, your your slash magic combos. Like you can hit twice and then do a little blast with your magic, but outside of that, there's not a lot in terms of basic combos. You can combo with your Wolf Torgal into some moves, but it's not satisfying to pull off. Especially because the button placement for that is a bit weird. Who knows, maybe I'm doing the combat all wrong, but it just feels like it's lacking. It doesn't help that there isn't a traditional party system. There are members of the cast that will help you from time to time, but you can't customize their moves or anything in combat. Which, not gonna lie, is a bit of a shame, but at the same time, I do understand because of the way the game is made and how the story goes. But still, it would have been cool to do some cool stuff with your party. Maybe some like team combos or something, I don't know. Also, I want to note that the main campaign of Final Fantasy 16 has some pacing issues. There are several missions that could have easily been cut out, making for a better experience. Those missions that can be cut out really just boil down to go here, talk to this person, go here, talk to this person, and it just feels like the game sets these barriers here so that it extends the length. And I just don't really like that artificial padding. Like the game would have been fine without that stuff. It is really a shame that Final Fantasy 16 has these elements that bother me because I was really looking forward to this game. But at the end of the day, I still like Final Fantasy 16. But it's just not perfect. It has flaws, and to me, just stuff that really bothers me to the point that I don't think this would even go in my top 5 games of the year kind of thing. Which is crazy because I was really looking forward to this. I just thought, the world looks so vast and interesting and beautiful, but the actual gameplay and what you do, it just doesn't come all together for me. Final Fantasy is a polished and lovingly crafted game with some high-octane, over-the-top boss battles with some epic music, but it's really hard to ignore its shortcomings, like the mediocre side quests and open zones that just aren't that fun to explore. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about Final Fantasy 16. Have you played it? Are you going to play it? Did you love it, hate it, or fall somewhere in between? Thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. God bless.